Thanks so much. And this is just out of respect to our neighbors. Liberty Tea Party Patriots is the first of the longest running Tea Party group in Minnesota. And somebody else who helped in all that is Cincy Phew right over there. She started the Southwest Metro Tea Party Patriots. But this particular group was called something different way back. It was the Tea Party Patriots of the Twin Cities, and it was formed in 2009. It was the first of 59 groups all throughout the state that had been formed by 2011. We are an affiliate of the national organization Tea Party Patriots, and it is a trademark name. We are the ones who defined what the current Tea Party movement is about. Limited constitutional government, so we have personal freedom. Free market economics, so we have economic freedom and prosperity, and control over our own business and prosperity. And financial responsibility, so we have a debt-free future. Not just for our kids, but for us too, because we will lose a lot. I want you to pick up a brochure on your way out. Those 3 goals are in there. The history of the Tea Party is on it. Please share it with people when they don't seem to understand how good we are and all the good that we have done. The people helping us here tonight, there's quite a crew. Jason Tullett is the owner of the tavern. Bless his heart for having us here every month. Let's give him a round of applause. Alex Erickson is the banquets and events manager that does the scheduling. Jeremy, you are here every Thursday with us, and we just love your service. Thank you so much. Server Sean back there, the guy that takes your tickets. We have Jackie Heinen, who's at the door. Diana Hawsley and Robert Marvin are videographers. Travis Ekbaum, who brings this gorgeous flag all the time. And our favorite bartender, Mo. So thanks for supporting this business not only tonight, but in the future. Please come back and give your service to the tavern. Please no side conversations. It gets very distracting. Please turn off your phones. And I hope mine's off. It'll probably go off here in about a minute. I'm going to bring up Drew Clapp with Restore Minnesota. He's going to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
Well, thank you all for being here. Before we pray, I would like to give some encouragement and acknowledgement. Today is the National Day of Prayer, a very important part in our country. When the founding fathers couldn't agree on a government they wanted, Benjamin Franklin challenged them for forgetting God and not praying to Him for guidance. The session was adjourned for 3 days of fasting and prayer. In 2 Chronicles 7:14 we read, "If my people who are called by my name will humble themselves and pray, and seek my face, and turn from their wicked ways, they will hear from heaven, and I'll forgive their sin, and will heal their land." We definitely would need that now. Would you agree with that? All right, 10 days from now, President Trump will be rededicating this country to God. And I challenge all of us to fast something and focus our lives back on Him from now until then. We don't necessarily need to fast food. It can be watching sports, TV, even news, social media, gaming, movies, streaming, etc. In place of this time, I encourage all of us to read the Bible, pray, or listen to praise and worship, music. Now, secondly, at the end of this month, we'll be celebrating Memorial Day. And yes, it is a long weekend, and we'll be spending time with family and friends. But never, ever forget why. That being said, those of you who are military veterans, please stand and remain standing, whether you're retired, active, or reserve. Second, Those of you who are first responders, that would be police officers, firemen and women, medical, retired, active, and reserve, please stand and remain standing. And those of you who are family and relatives of those who lost their lives in the service, whether it's a military or civic, please stand and remain standing. Thank you so much for your sacrifice. I salute you. Now let's all stand and to pray and then do the pledge. Heavenly Father, I come before you in the name of Jesus Christ. Thank you. We can gather in this country you've blessed. I also thank you for protecting our men and women in uniform. As we gather together with family and friends this month, I thank you for great memories shared and new made. For those without, I thank you for making yourself real to them. As the prophet Isaiah said, comfort, comfort my people, says that your God. In the name of Jesus Christ, amen. Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Drew, you're hired. That was very, very good. Thank you so much. We're going to bring up our Lieutenant Governor candidates right now, Ryan Wilson and Brian Nicholson, and they're each going to take 5 minutes and tell us why they are running with the particular gubernatorial candidate, and tell us a little bit about themselves. But we're going to do a coin toss to see who goes first. Patrick, do you have the quarter? Well, please, and please come up here, Ryan and Brian, and we're going to do a coin toss in front of everybody, right up here. I thought you'd like this. I don't know, you just do it. Heads or tails? Heads. So Brian Nicholson goes first.
On the blood-soaked, can you hear me okay? On the blood-soaked fields of Gettysburg, Abraham Lincoln handed us the plainest, the truest measure of legitimate government the world has ever known. That ours shall be a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and that it shall not perish from the earth. And those words were never meant only for Washington. They were meant for every state house, for every courthouse, school board, city council, and government institution across this land. And Lord help us, they were made for Minnesota. But when I look at St. Paul today, I'm outraged. I see a government that's lost its moorings and fallen far from that promise. People who have forgotten who they served. When Lincoln said of the people, he meant the government belongs to us. Yet too many days it feels like government is something that's done to us rather than by us. And that must change. When he said by the people, he meant everyday Minnesotans that ought to be at the helm. Instead, we've surrendered the wheel to a circle of activists, consultants, and career politicians that do not share our values. And that must change. When he said for the people, he meant that government exists to guard your life, your liberty, and your shot at a great life. Yet here in Minnesota, we now endure record crime in our cities, highest tax rates in America, and a government that's far more devoted to its own survival than to ours. And that must change. Kendall and I are in this to make this a government of the people again. Owned by you, answerable to you, and unafraid to tell anybody who needs to hear it that this is the new program, so you better get out of the way. I chose to run with Kendall because he's a man of deep faith. His conviction and love of God was a bedrock of me being able to say yes to this opportunity. He does this from a position of duty and of patriotism and of statesmanship, and that is sorely needed in Minnesota. And when he asked me to do this, he said, I want to have somebody who has executive leadership to be there with me. I want somebody who will be there, who has seen the executive side of an organization who knows how to be accountable, knows how to be responsible, and knows how to deliver results. So we'll govern Minnesota by the people again, putting common sense, non-politicians back in charge instead of downtown ideologues or career politicians. We'll make it for the people again, for safer neighborhoods, for schools that teach rather than indoctrinate, for paychecks that stretch further, and for a state so full of opportunity that our neighbors and our kids are not desiring to leave. They'll choose to stay and raise their families here in Minnesota. The mission that Lincoln described has not changed at all. And we must look ourselves in the mirror and acknowledge that what we've been doing has not worked. We need outsiders who know how to lead, who know how to fire someone, who know how to hire someone, and we don't need another broken political candidate who's been marinating in the mess that we have in St. Paul. We need people who are not afraid to fight, who will walk straight into the arena and take on Amy Klobuchar head to head in every debate, in every forum, and every chance that we get. We need a vision that compels Minnesotans to hope again. We need adults who represent the silent majority, the working families, the small business owners, and the patriots like you who are done watching Minnesota get dragged down by the same old broken machine. For 20 years, Republicans have put forward the same nice candidates. We've watched them get steamrolled year after year. No more. This is our rescue mission. We're done apologizing for loving this state. We're done asking permission from the same crowd that gave us record crime and crushing taxes and kids that can't wait to leave. We're taking Minnesota back, and we're ready for this fight. Kendall and I are the contrast. Our experience running organizations is exactly what Minnesota needs. When we win this nomination, we won't just compete with Amy. We'll expose the broken system and the broken system she represents, and we will defeat it. We're in the final stretch before the state convention, where we have to go and remind Minnesota where she is. She's tough, she's free, and she's unafraid. So let's finish what Lincoln started on that field. Let's remind those soldiers who died why they gave that sacrifice. Kendall and I are proud to stand beside you to take this state back. This movement is a freight train full of momentum, and it's time to push back the evil that has taken hold in our state. Thank you very much, and may God bless the state of Minnesota.
That was Brian Nicholson with the Kendall Qualls campaign. Now I'll introduce to you Ryan Wilson with Lisa Damon for governor.
I'll stay up here, otherwise I'll walk around. That's right. You cut me off. I sometimes go like an hour and a half. That's not a joke. That happened in Lax. I'm Ryan Wilson. I'm running for Lieutenant Governor with Speaker of the House, Lisa Damon. Thanks for being here today. And thank you, Mary, for having and organizing. It was 4 years ago, almost to the date. We were over at McCoy's, right? And I was running for state auditor. Mary asked me to come up and probably talk to a lot of the same folks here. And I shared a vision for how we can win statewide in Minnesota. I was talking about a little something called feeding our future. Nobody had heard about it at the time. By the end of the campaign, it was $250 million. Eventually became a presidential issue. And so that was my first foray into politics. And my whole life I've been a Minnesotan. I'm a fourth generation Minnesotan, third generation Gopher at the U of M. I'm proud to say my kid's there, so he's a fourth generation Gopher as well. But I've been blessed here in Minnesota. I lived the Minnesota dream, the American dream. In 2006, I started a company in Minnesota. Myself and a business partner, two guys, an idea. And we grew that in a couple of years to be a global leading company to help bring things like medical devices to market so people could live better lives. I was proud of the work that we did. I was the CEO, I was the founder. I knew what it meant to make a payroll, to make a paycheck, to make sure that employees got paid. During the Great Recession, I was proud to say we didn't lay off a single employee. We sacrificed. There were weekends when my wife and I were going in, cleaning the bathrooms, taking out the garbage, but it mattered to us because the employees mattered to us. I was CEO, but I was also the guy taking out the garbage, and I'm not afraid to get my hands dirty. So I love Minnesota. I love the work that we do here, but we couldn't do it again. My story couldn't happen today. My kids, I got 5 of them, they couldn't do what I did because of the regulations and the burdens put on by Tim Walz and the Democrats over the last 16 years. And that's a shame. Our kids deserve better. Minnesota deserves better. So that's why I'm running with Lisa Damon to help get her elected, to help get her across the finish line. In 2022, when I ran for state auditor, came within 8,000 votes, one of the closest statewide races in decades. 2 extra votes per precinct, and we got a different state auditor, and Minnesota might be a little bit different with some of this fraud stuff. But what that shows us is that there is a path here. There were 200,000 Republicans that stayed home that year. You're going to have to cut me off, Mary, by the way. I told you I'm going to go on. You tell me when we get closer. So there is absolutely a path, and we should be excited about it. There are Republicans here. People believe in conservative values. They believe in what we all stand for liberty, right, and for justice. We've got to make sure we have a judicial system that doesn't treat criminals like victims, but then instead stands up for the true victims. So there's so much work to be done in Minnesota. So why am I running? Why am I running with Speaker Damon? Well, I first got to know Speaker Damon in earnest when she took the fight to the Democrats. When the Democrats weren't showing up, and Steve Simon tried to keep Republicans from organizing, she took him to the Supreme Court. And I was proud to be the attorney for the House to help with that fight. She took it, she got the speakership. She got the speakership for 2 years. Why is that important? It's important because she can control what comes to the floor. She can also do things like controlling what doesn't come to the floor. Lisa has been strong, and because of her leadership, she stood up to Governor Walz, and we haven't seen any gun control. Last December, Governor Walz went out on national TV, on a podcast, and he says there's one person standing between us and gun control, and that's Lisa Damon. She stood in the fight, she stood up for Minnesotans, and she's going to keep doing that. When she became speaker, first time in her life, she wasn't in the minority. Democrats had control the whole time. Interesting note, one of her first bills was to take care of daycare fraud. 2019, her first bill she puts out there was to make sure you had attendance records for daycare fraud. Democrats voted it down. That bill would have solved the problems that Nick Shirley found today. Democrats said no. I'm proud today to announce that the Republicans passed House File 1, their top priority, the Office of Inspector General, that will finally start holding Tim Walz and the Democrats accountable for the fraud, for the money that they stole from us, for the $9 billion they stole from us. That passed today, and I'm proud to announce that here today. So I'm running with Lisa because she's fought, and she's won, and she's delivered for Minnesota. I'll give you just one more example before I wrap up here. She was in the budget negotiations at the end of 2025. She's sitting across from Tim Walz, as close as we are right here. She went in there and stared him down. He wanted more taxes. He wanted more burdens on Minnesota. She said no. She said, we're drawing a line right here. She brought the budget down from its trifecta high by $5 billion, the largest reduction in the history of the state of Minnesota. And not only that, she went in and said, there's one more thing. You guys passed a bill to provide taxpayer-funded health care for illegal immigrants. It's bringing people up to the state. It's bringing criminals up to the state. It's bankrupting the state. No more. We have to repeal that. We were one of the first states in the nation to repeal that, and we started to turn back the sanctuary policies, and Lisa did it with nothing more than a tied house. She's a fighter, she's a winner, and she's going to win in November. I'm excited, and that's why I'm running with her. Thank you for having me again, Mary.
Thank you very much, Ryan. As you know, we've had another entry into the Secretary of State race, and that is David Meissner. He has not had a chance to speak to the Tea Party group yet, so tonight let's give him a warm welcome.
All right, well, I'm David Meissner. I am running for Secretary of State. I want to say thank you to Mary and all of you for having me here. I want to talk a little bit about election integrity as well as some other things going on down at the Secretary of State's office. So I want to first say I come with a background of 30 plus years of IT, logistics, and transportation experience. And the benefit about being an IT nerd is that you get to know a lot of other IT nerds, and they're called colleagues, right? And so we took a few of them and brought them together, and we are looking at data. We're creating kind of our own Minnesota Doge. I think we're gonna call it MinDoge. How's that sound? Yeah. So we're actually looking at data it's the business data that we got from the Secretary of State, even though it wasn't very pretty when they sent it to us because it was a bunch of tables crammed into one file. You had to be a programmer to break it down and parse it all out, but at least, hey, Steve Simon is transparent, right? So anyway, we're looking at that. We're looking for any anomalies that are going to be like, how did these fraudulent organizations actually get started and get past and overcome these strict guidelines, you know, that Steve Simon has on his watch. And the fact of the matter is he doesn't have any strict guidelines for them. So we're looking at that. We're also looking at voter data, voter roll data, comparing that with other data sets and so forth. We want to find out what we can clean up. We do not have to wait actually for the Department of Justice or anything like that. We can do this with the counties right now, and we got to do it this summer before the election starts. One other thing I want to talk about is our deficit of election judges. And it's a pretty sad case because in 2024, we were supposed to have 15,000 election judges just for election day. That's not even counting the absentee ballot board, right? And we actually showed up with a little over 9,500. That's pretty poor turnout. We need to do better. And this year, we're only at 12,000. So we're 3,000 down on that. And we need people to step up and become. Now, you can't really sign up to get on the major party list right now because that has been sent up to the Secretary of State's office. But you can go to your municipalities and your counties, and you can sign up there. And if you are an election judge, go down there and tell them you want to be on the ballot board, because that's where a problem is occurring, which I want to talk about now. This is a pretty serious issue, probably what I would call the #1 threat we have in our election integrity, right? And that is the absentee ballot board. I've talked about this with a lot of people now. The absentee ballot board was created in 2008 by Steve Simon and his colleagues, right? It's been expanded in 2010 and 2013 to go statewide, but they basically took our military ballots in 2008 and took them out of the local precincts, the local polling places, and put them into county control to be handled not by election judges, not by party balance judges, by county staff that were trained as election judges but they weren't required to be party ballots. That's a problem because it takes away bipartisan oversight, which is really the first tenet of a secure election, wouldn't you say? All right, so when they did that and they expanded in 2010, now this handles all of the absentee ballots in the state of Minnesota. Sends them down to the county, and Steve Simon says, well, we only need 2 election judges minimum for checking signatures, but yet we can have all of these deputy county auditors, he calls them, or county employees, basically, doing all the deeds of the absentee ballot board. The thing is, he doesn't tell you that election judges can do all those deeds. So they're kind of playing on that, twisting a little bit of statute to get away from this, and they're resisting in places like Hennepin County and Ramsey County, Olmsted County, where you had in Hennepin and Ramsey, over 50% of their ballots were early and absentee in 2024. That is a big problem. When you have hundreds of thousands of ballots flowing through these counties being handled by people that are not party ballots. Wouldn't you say, Mark? Yeah. That's a big problem. So anyway, I think what the message I would give here is that we need to really kind of take a different look at this. We're at war in Minnesota here, and it's a war for the soul of Minnesota, right? We have a party that wants to take it and lead us right into socialism, and we don't want to do that. So who wants to save Minnesota? Just say right now, right on, make some noise, because that's what it's going to take. We need to get involved in Minnesota. That means we need to take the fight down to them. The war is between red and blue is taking ground from us every election cycle, and we got to stop letting them do that. The battlefield is in blue territory. It is not in red territory. 20 seconds. Anyway, that's really what it is. So if you want to get in the fight, you want to join me, it's basically going to be, if you want to go to my website, sign up to be a volunteer. If you can't volunteer, maybe you could contribute a little financially. We're going to need some literature and so forth to get that going. I want to thank you all for having me here. Appreciate it. God bless you and God bless Minnesota.
We will bring up up other statewide candidates after the forum. I know that we have Jude here for Secretary of State. John Krhin is here for governor. Hopefully we can bring you up. We have some other candidates here, but that will be at the end. Right now, I want to reintroduce Gary Tomsinger. Gary, come on up here with Brenda. Gary, you were here about a month ago and you were talking about working with the Elk River City Council to return to the real Minnesota flag.
Okay. I'll give you an update. Like Mary said, I'm with Restore Minnesota. I'm head of election integrity and also in charge of the Flip the Flag campaign for Restore Minnesota. And the good news is the city of Elk River voted on the new flag, or the old flag, or historic 1983 flag, the real flag, 5-0. Since then, you've probably seen Inver Grove Heights, they're gone, and now Ramsey is going to be moving. So I just want to let you guys, everybody in here know, you just go to fliptheflag.com, super easy. Go to fliptheflag.com if your city is interested and you want to flip your flag. There's a lot of tools in there for you. There's a toolkit that you can use to be able to get all the information that you need. It's sort of a website in progress, so there's always stuff we're adding, but it also has a list of the cities that have already flipped. So thank you, everybody. Appreciate it, and keep up the good fight. Next we have Brenda Hanson from Sherburne County Community Action Team. She wants to talk about a very special event.
Thank you, Mary. Thank you. Earlier when the program began, you heard Drew allude to May 17th. For many of you, you've heard that President Trump plans to use that day to rededicate America as one nation under God. And as we've been talking to a number of you at the table, some of you are able to go to Washington, D.C., but not everyone can. So we're going to make it real easy for you. You just drive up Highway 10 and over the railroad tracks in Elk River at the American Legion, May 17th, same day. 12:30, we're hosting a very similar event. We're telling everyone that it'll be an old-fashioned church service, faith-based with a little patriotic flair, family-friendly. So we've dropped off large flyers and smaller invites on each table. If anyone didn't get one, raise your hand, I'll come around. But post it on your social, family-friendly, children are invited. We've got an amazing program already planned. So we hope you come up to Elk River. You'll recognize us because we're flying the original flag.
It's really good work, and this is proof again that one person can really change things, so don't ever give up. You have a lot of power, you just don't give up, right?
Right.
We are going to do a straw poll here again tonight. It will be for the U.S. Senate, Governor, Attorney General, Secretary of State, and Auditor. We'll be handing those ballots out at about 8 o'clock. And then we'll be finishing up the forum that we're having tonight. I'm going to invite Jack Thompson up here. I'll have Kelly Gunderson join you. Jack is known to all of you. Remember AM 1130 Up and Adam? Remember the show? This was your
Yes, and it was great.
It was great. Yes.
That was great.
Yes. Yes. He lately has had the Jack Thompson radio show and podcast on the Patriots station. Kelly has been his co-host. And they are here tonight. Jack is going to tell you how the questions were formulated and kind of the specifics. And you'll call the candidates up then, right?
Yep, sure. That all sounds good. The questions were formulated by me asking the campaigns to submit questions. So we're going to use questions that they submitted. Unless Kelly and I come up with our own somewhere along the way.
Which we might.
Which we will. We absolutely will. Okay. Candidates are, in no particular order, Adam Schwarz. Come on up, Adam. Go. Mark York, since you're standing right here. And Royce White. So how we're going to do this, it's not a forum, it's a discussion.
Should we move these up? Can you guys see?
You're tall, they can see.
Yeah.
If you have problems seeing, we'll change things, but we'll keep them here for now. Okay, we're going to do this as a discussion, not a debate, not a forum. It's kind of like we're on a radio show together, but we're not on the radio. There are going to be no time limits, but keep it reasonable, or I'll start beatboxing. And if you are name checked by somebody, you will get the first opportunity to respond to that. We're going to have a 2-minute opening statement and then finish it up with a 1-minute closing statement. And I've got a system here, so Royce, since you're right there, pick a number between 1 and 3.
Oh, boy.
Pick a number either 1, 2, or 3. There's only one number in between 1 and 3. 1, 2, or 3.
3.
All right. Mark, pick a number 1, 2, or not 3.
I can't pick a physical constant.
You cannot.
1.
Okay. That makes you 2. So the order we're going to go in is 1, 2, 3 for opening statements. So Mark, 2 minutes. You guys keeping time for this?
Want me to? Okay.
Yes.
All right, well, good evening, everyone. I'm Mark York, running for U.S. Senate. Thank you for showing up for our state and for our country by being here tonight. Show of hands, who's a delegate to our state convention? Awesome. Thank you for serving. I am, actually all 3 of us here are planning to seek and abide by your endorsement, as is Alicia, who's in the audience here tonight.
Right here.
So, most of you guys have heard from me before, real brief. I'm a farmer from southwest Minnesota. We were planting soybeans this morning. I don't think I'll have time to finish them tomorrow, but we're almost done with soybean planting. Worked at Cargill for a few years, did a PhD in computer science, and I spent the last year serving our president as a senior advisor in the Trump White House, where I wrote our critical mineral strategy and legislative proposal that we sent to Congress. We're going to make Minnesota, and we're going to make the U.S. build again. This group is called the Liberty Tea Party. It's named after an event on December 16, 1773, where a group of patriots said, "We will not pay taxes without any voice in the political process." We fought an 8-year war and we won. Well, now our freedoms are under threat again, but this time it's not an external enemy. This time it's unelected bureaucrats, and it's the left who wants to tax and spend and let more of our money go to fraud without anything to show for it. So I'm running to get the government out of the way. I'm running so that people can afford to build houses and open daycares and raise families like we used to. I'm running so that people can build businesses and so that we can create jobs like we used to. And I'm running so that we can use the latest technology available to prevent the fraud before it happens and throw the fraudsters in jail. I have a lot to say about the SAVE Act. I have a lot to say about election integrity, fraud, everything else. We only have so much time here. I just wanted to say thank you so much, Mary Amlaw, for organizing. Thank you for hosting a straw poll. I'd be honored to have your vote. This makes a huge difference for everything from fundraising to calling delegates and everything else. So thank you, everyone, and we'll look forward to the discussion.
Adam Schwarz.
Hey, give me you set me up?
You turn the mic on first. You're going to be a U.S. Senator.
Used to not speak in the mic, you should actually be in the trenches, because I'm a fighter. And that separates me from everybody else running in any statewide race. Somebody talks about being a fighter. I'm actually a fighter. I've actually fought for you my entire adult life. 21 years, 10 years in the Marines, Semper Fi brother, 11 years in the Navy SEAL teams. I've served more time downrange than anybody serving in Congress or Senate. So it gives me a unique perspective when we send people downrange. It also gives me a unique opportunity to actually serve on the Senate Armed Forces Committee, the Senate Intelligence Committee, the Senate Energy Committee. I have unique on-the-ground experience. And I want to thank you first off, because you took the most important resource in your life, the time, to come out and get informed tonight. So thank you. And I think it speaks volumes about all the candidates you see here tonight who are respecting your time and your process, those of you who are delegates. And I think it also speaks volumes who are not. Candidates who are invited to this debate right now, so we can sharpen, as Proverbs 27:17, sharpen our iron, one man versus another, so together we create great steel. Those who are not abiding by your endorsement and don't even take the time to come out of the DC throne to get involved in the process, I would submit do not deserve your endorsement in Duluth. And why is that important? I'm going to talk about that specific endorsement, that process. It is we the people. It is respective. What you are putting into this party right now, when we win this state back, it's going to be because of God's glory, but it's you who are putting the work to choose the great candidates that are representative of our values. So what are my values? Why choose me? Because I have served under 4 administrations, so I know how great President Trump's policies are, his values. I am a lifelong distinguished member of the NRA, so I will support your gun rights. I'm adopted, so I'm going to support life in the United States Senate, not because it's convenient, but because it's the right thing to do and it's the right side of God. Thank you so much for coming out tonight. Let's take our state back down ballot. God bless you. God bless America.
Thank you, Adam. Royce White.
Best for last. Kid. Good evening. Thanks for being here. I appreciate it. God is great. All the time. All the time. Yes, Jesus Christ is King. Front page of the Minnesota Star Tribune this week. Yours truly made the headlines. The uphill battles of two Republican outsiders. Keyword, outsiders. An unfit outsider. And I wear it as a badge of honor. Yes, amen. In this paper here, they call me a Trumpian Republican. Thank you again. I mean, this is starting to sound like a promo piece more than a hit job, right? We all know what the problem is in this country. The problem is we say there's a problem, but we vote in the incumbents 95% of the time. 95% of the time, we vote in the very people we say are causing the problem, and then we want to sit home and complain. And I'm sure Fox News makes a hell of a profit off of the business model. It's like, stay out of the process, and go home and complain, and the Muslims are coming, and then all of a sudden we find out that the king makes landfall here in your Congress, your halls of Congress, American citizens, and refers to himself as a sovereign. And we're going to subsidize Europe's country and continent that they've already given over to Muslims? See, I'm radical, and that's why I made the front page. Because first day in the United States Senate, we're going to bring a bill. Ban Sharia law and Marxism. Nationwide ban on Marxism and Sharia law, and that's just an appetizer. Because we're going to do term limits. Term limits, we got to do it, because we keep voting in this problem. Term limits for the Supreme Court. Thank you, we're just getting started. Thank you. We'll be back. Thank you.
See, that's why he picked 3, so he could say save the best for last. Smart guy. All right, think discussion-y. So there's an order. It's all loose. All right, first question, Royce, we'll start with you. Is there anything you disagree with President Trump on?
How much time do I have to ask a question? A minute?
Minute or so.
Okay. The 45th, 46th, and 46th.
Yeah.
For everybody in the back? Yeah, I know, there's a controversy on that. Yeah, 46th president and 47th president of the United States is the greatest president in my lifetime. Thank you. Don't have to clap, thank you. I could disagree with them on a lot of things, but the bottom line is they marshaled up all their resources to stop him, to kill him, to railroad him, to slow walk his legislation. I can tell by how many enemies have marshaled up the resources against him that I should throw in with him 9 times out of 10. Well, I'm a little crazy. I throw in with him 10 times out of 10. Even when he's wrong, I say, hey, Commander-in-Chief, we're going to roll with you. Now, I'll voice my opinion when I disagree with something. But it doesn't change that he has my unequivocal support. And I just say that to kick things off here, what a great question. It just blows my mind that all of these political consultants and experts will talk about the pathway to victory, right? As what's electable and what's not. The greatest president in your lifetime was the most unelectable candidate in your lifetime. Amen? Amen. Amen. Yeah, but on paper, he was never supposed to be elected. And I share a similar trait. And I think that's exactly the decision that we have to make in this room and in this party and in this state. What does it mean to be electable? What does it mean to us? Not what does it mean to the Star Tribune? Because we know what they think is electable, communists. And if you play that game and you concede to what electable means on paper from communists, I guarantee you get something closer to a communist than a patriot. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Mark, do you disagree with the president on anything?
I certainly do. Although you're asking me to criticize my former boss. So,
every person's dream.
No one's perfect. That's right. I'd say there's 2 big ones for me. And I agree with Royce that he is the commander-in-chief, and we need to trust him. As Napoleon said, better one mediocre general than two great ones. But he's the commander-in-chief, he controls the armed forces, and so even if I might not have done it quite that way, I think we need to be behind him, at least with the authorities he has. The two big ones I want to call out. Number one, I'm a budget hawk. You send me to DC, you are going to see aggressive action to close our deficit. The big beautiful bill added $3 to $4 trillion to the debt over 10 years, so I was not a fan of that. Number two, tariffs. I'm a farmer. We export a lot of what we grow here, and we need good markets for our farmers, so I would like him to rein in some of those tariffs, at least get us some deals for farmers.
Thank you. Adam Schwarz, do you disagree with the president on anything?
The best thing I can remember is I would have fired Anthony Fauci sooner. I know that at one point President Trump had flirted with doing away with Veterans Day and calling it like Victory Day or something like that, which is fittingly named. But as somebody who served in the Marines and in the Navy SEALs, it's kind of a bond that veterans have regardless of service. But the day that we come together, it's very hallowed, and I love breaking bread with all my veterans from all around the country, so I'm glad that did not get changed, but that was something I was a little concerned about. But yeah, should have got Fauci the hell out of here a lot sooner.
Kelly?
Thank you. Let's say it's January 2027 and you are on the Senate floor, you're being sworn in. What are the committees that you want to serve on and for what reasons? And are we going to go in the same order?
You're going to switch to go start
with Adam? Start with Adam?
He's probably tired. Go with Mark.
Mark, you get the first answer.
Adam's an animal. He can talk all night. There's three big committees I want to serve on. Number one is the Agriculture Committee. If elected, I will be the first farmer to serve as Minnesota Senator in over 60 years. The land has not had a voice in Washington in the U.S. Senate in over 60 years. So the Agriculture Committee is number one. Number two, closely related, is energy and natural resources. Two big reasons. Number one, I wrote President Trump's critical mineral strategy. I want to continue that good work. The big potential employer in northern Minnesota, we can take the cobalt, copper, and nickel we're going to mine and build the industries of the future in our state. And secondly, we're seeing energy prices increase in Minnesota. We need more energy generation, especially nuclear energy. And third and finally, the Commerce Committee. We need to harness the power of AI, but we also need to not let it destroy American jobs. And I'm the only computer scientist who's ever run for the U.S. Senate.
What committees?
I'm just going to leave now, but you can write me in the straw poll. God bless you guys. Have a good night. Thank you.
Okay, let's focus back up here to our candidates. Adam, what committees do you want to serve on and why?
I've had the ability to serve under 4 administrations, so I know what poor leadership looks like. Biden, Obama. I also know what great leadership looks like my 45th and 47th Commander-in-Chief, Donald J. Trump. And under his leadership is part of why I'm fighting for the United States Senate right now. Because I was able to fight under President Trump, where under Obama we allowed ISIS, which was a regional threat, become a worldwide terrorist threat organization. Under Trump 1.0, we killed them all. We were allowed to do our jobs in about 6 months. And because I have that kind of experience, I have more time downrange than anybody in the United States Senate, I'll be a great fit for the Senate Armed Forces Committee, which is a multi-trillion-dollar committee. Because my last 7 years as a Navy SEAL mission commander, I have more experience doing intelligence operations, which we need to depoliticize and get vectored on America's threats, not collecting intelligence on American citizens. And likely because of one of my nuclear deterrence masters at Harvard, I want to be the shepherding of nuclear energy. I want to make nuclear energy in Minnesota the center cap for the world so we can expand on energy and create a safer world.
Royce, what committees do you want to serve on and why?
I think you might have missed a year there, Adam. 45th, 47th. Don't forget 46th. All right. 46th. The 2020 election was stolen. Everybody understand that? Yeah. And it'll happen again if we're not vigilant. Committees. Let me just tell you how DC really works. Okay? All the committees are pay to play. All of the committees are pay to play. There isn't a single committee that they let you on unless you go downstairs with the deep state, and the U.S. Senate is the last bastion of the deep state. I don't know if people in here believe in the deep state. Adam could probably tell us about the deep state. When they take you down to the basement, the deep state, you don't get on a committee unless you're willing to sell the country out. That's how it works, guys. I hate to tell you. So I'm under no false illusions that when you make the headlines of a communist newspaper, they're going to let you on any committees, right? Especially the Republican Senate that are holding up the SAVE Act. Probably not going to make any committees, and I'm okay with that.
All right, thank you, Royce White.
Adam, I know, it hurts.
Actually, Adam, you were name checked. You want to respond on that deep state thing?
No.
Okay. All right, you're up for this question. Everyone says they'll restore industry and create jobs in Minnesota, but how concretely would you actually get this done as a U.S. Senator?
How do we improve jobs? How do we improve jobs? Well, who produces? You do, not the government. So simply get the government the heck out of the way. Why do housing prices cost 40% more in Minnesota than our neighbors? Because of the government, bureaucratic overreach. Why are taxes here in Minnesota greater than our neighbors? Government overreach, because Tim Walz expanded the government by 50%. Why are we losing our top tax income earners and backfilling that same level with illegal immigrants? Illegal aliens, they're taking your dollars, 9 to 19 billion. Because of failed leadership and because on the Senate, we're not doing things like pass the Save America Act so we can keep illegals from our voter rolls. So, and as my colleagues have brought up, where is the Save America Act right now? The United States Senate. Why is it not getting passed? Rhinos, weak Republicans who are not fighters. That's what I'm going to be, an agent for change, a fighter, so we can pass the Save America Act, so we can get these illegals off of our voter logs, out of our state, and then reduce costs to you, the actual American citizens who are actually producing for our state and country.
I'm thinking. Royce is next. Everyone says they'll restore industry and create jobs in Minnesota, but how concretely would you actually get this done as a U.S. Senator?
I talk about ideas because getting legislation passed, as we've seen, even the best president in our lifetimes having trouble doing it. You need a majority. Not everybody's with us on the Republican side. And oh, by the way, rhinos is the right answer, but we seem to have a Minnesota Republican Party where your chair tells you not to say the word rhino. Interesting. Also quoted him in this news article, by the way. You know, we have to reorient our entire thinking. And this party's going to be the one to do it, has to do it. We're the only ones who have a chance. We have lived under the managed decline of the United States of America for 30, 40, 50 years. And our own Republican and conservative thought leaders have helped that managed decline. Part of that managed decline is to ship the American dream to China. And at some point, we're going to have to just get off of the gravy train and say, the convenience is not worth the disrespect and dignity of the American working class. Thank you.
You have a question? I do. I used to think that loss of jobs due to globalization was inevitable. Labor costs are cheaper abroad, of course. Of course we can't manufacture things here anymore, of course. It has to be done in China, Malaysia, and Vietnam. It wasn't until I got to the White House that I truly saw how much of a lie that is. And if you don't think it's a lie, then tell me this. Why is it that we have mines in Idaho and Montana that mine some of the richest platinum group metal ore in the world there is? They send that ore to Canada, 10 miles over the border, and they refine it there. I'll tell you why. It's because we have some of the worst permitting and regulatory environments on earth. We are tied with Zambia for the slowest in the world to be able to open a mine. 29 years is how long it takes to open a mine in this country. And similar is true for manufacturing and home building, as Adam mentioned. We need to slash red tape and make it easy for companies to create jobs because that's where employment comes from. I did want to say, as far as I know, I'm the only one in this race who's worked for a private company. I've actually worked for 2 startups and hired and built out teams. We're going to make it very easy for the government to get out of the way and companies to create jobs.
Mark, Minnesota farmers are struggling under the weight of low grain prices and high seed, fertilizer, and equipment costs. Well, that's not good. What would you do to help save our family farms?
Every year, there's a farmer in my hometown who goes bankrupt. He can't farm anymore. And there's many causes, of course. There's only 3 companies in this country that produce 95% of the seed. And there's about 4 companies that buy something like 90% of the grain. So we farmers have to buy retail, pay retail prices, and we sell wholesale. That's a problem. I think there's some antitrust that we can look at. Secondly, I talked about the tariffs, right? We export 50% of our soybeans. We export 20% of our corn. We need to work to make sure that we can get more markets for that. Another thing, ethanol, E15, that's something I'm a big supporter of. There's no reason we shouldn't be able to pass that. Those are my priorities in Congress.
All right, thank you, Adam. Mark, sorry.
We're not
Adam
the
is
same
next. Same question. Farmers are struggling under the weight of low grain prices and high seed and fertilizer and equipment costs. How do you fix that?
Yeah, farmers are the bedrock of Minnesota, and they are the bedrock of America. You, the production people. Food security is a national security issue. And so when I get to the United States Senate, I am going to promote Minnesota farming. And I think the best way I can do that is make sure that family farming stays in business. As somebody who's been on the campaign trail longer than anybody running for statewide office, I've had to look at these family farmers in their eyes as they get bought up by these bigger conglomerations, and it makes me teary-eyed just thinking about these families that can't afford to keep their family land. And how we can do that is removing the taxes. And we have to pass down the farms from generation to generation. That's the best thing we can do. And then crop insurance. You know, that's federal leaning in to support farmers. At the end of the day, that is a hill I will die on to support Minnesota farmers. Thank you for what you do, by the way.
Royce White, Minnesota farmers are struggling under the weight of low grain prices and high seed, fertilizer, and equipment costs. What would you do to help save our family farms?
Well, I echo your sentiments. There we go. I echo Mark's sentiments about antitrust laws. I think we have great antitrust laws on the books that we don't use, and we should use them across a number of domains and industries, including farming. The first thing I would functionally do, and I'm not about symbology or moral wins, but there are some things we just need to clean up in our country. We should seize every last acre that belongs to the Chinese Communist Party in this country. Every last acre should be confiscated from our national mortal enemy as a sign and a warning that America's orientation of business is going to be American citizens, farmers, and shopkeepers first. Thank you.
Farmer. Is that a good idea? Seizing land owned by foreign countries?
Well, at the very least, we cannot allow foreign ownership of farmland. That's something that over 80% of Americans across the political spectrum think should be done. In terms of seizing land, you could force sale at fair market value. There's things you could do, but we cannot allow our number one enemy to own our farmland. Would China allow us to own their farmland?
Absolutely not.
Yeah.
Adam?
Yes, 4 seizures. And what I also didn't mention was stop putting solar farms on farmland. Parking lots are no longer farmland for solar.
Kelly.
Thank you. Let's continue with China. I'm not going to necessarily read off a scripture because I like the more discussion type of thing. But I know, well, that's why I'm here. So, a number of people have been starting to talk about China. And since we just kind of started talking about it, I want to roll with China in terms of a foreign policy. With China working to build allies around the world, in Africa, in South America, in other parts, that with their cheap production, with fuel, with energy, and so forth, what would you suggest that we do in our foreign policy, for the U.S. foreign policy, to combat that, to make China more weaker and us more stronger with with allies and other countries across the world? I'm going to start with Royce with that.
Well, difficult question. I got to talk about the philosophy. How much time do I have? A minute?
We'll cut you off.
Okay.
If it goes too long,
you asked me about
then you start circling,
the
we'll cut you.
cornerstone or linchpin of our foreign policy and debacle. I mean, we're in an existential crisis, so it's hard to say in 60 seconds, but I'll say this. In the short form is, China is a radical materialist society. Our nation is not a nation built on radical materialism. Marxism's goal ultimately was to take God out of our society and reduce the human existence down to price. America was never intended to win that game. We were intended to be a nation of ideas with national honor and sacred honor and a higher formation of not only our nation as a whole, but citizenship. These are things that are diametrically opposed to our national mortal enemy, the Chinese Communist Party. I don't think we beat them in a game of price. I think we beat them by telling the American people the truth, educating our young people on day one of kindergarten with a Bible and a Constitution. Help day one, Bible, Constitution in the schools. And I think we tell our people the truth. The truth is, listen, we have to make sure in this country that we also don't fall victim to the convenience of socialism. I'm going to yes. Yeah, even in this party. Oh, wait a second. It gets better. I'm going to say something controversial now. If you have a global dollar empire and the strength of your currency, the strength of your economy is the strength of your currency, your number one export, and you socialize the financial risk every time you go to fight a foreign war, you also are a socialist. Oh, and it's very difficult for us to explain to the American people, especially young Americans, my age, Mark's age, how we decry socialism, but then we're on board with it every time we need to go fight one of these foreign ventures. And I'm just telling you honestly, the rubber's meeting the road on how we're going to square that with the American people. My vote is America first. We're going to make sure that this nation's priorities come first, and the number one priority is not to fall victim to socialism and communism, whether it be culturally in the schools or economically, when you let Wall Street and these big banks and corporations socialize the risk and bail out the bad guys, spit on the working class every time we hit financial turbulence.
Thank you. I'll go to Mark. I'll try to summarize what I said. China's becoming a bigger power. They're working with more allies around the world. What would you do with U.S. foreign policy to combat that?
First off, I want to quote our president, who in the State of the Union address this year made it super, super clear. Who does the federal government serve? The American people, the American citizens. So long, people have thought that our foreign policy is to be the world police and to take care of everybody, and we're citizens of the world. No. Now, who does the Chinese government serve? The Chinese people? No? No. Xi Jinping and the CCP. That's right. That's right. And one of my donors is Henry Kissinger's protege. He founded the Harvard School of Public Policy. He is the U.S.-China expert. He wrote a really good book called Destined for War about U.S. and China. Not a very reassuring title. He talked about how in the West we play chess. And in chess, chess incentivizes you to take bold moves, to strike your enemy head on. In China, they don't play chess. In China, they play a game called Go. And the game Go is not about striking head on. It's about gradually, slowly, and surely surrounding your enemy until they're choked out and have no escape. That's what China's doing. China has bought up 70% of the cobalt mines in Congo. They bought up the energy generation that powers those mines. They bought up the railroads that are used to get the ore out of the country. And at some point, all across Africa and all across the world with the Belt and Road Initiative, we aren't going to have access to some of the raw resources we need. Now, what have we been doing? We had USAID. USAID. How does USAID help us get resources? Oh, it's goodwill. We're doing these trainings for women to grow sorghum in Ethiopia. That's not a bad project. I myself started a nonprofit that helps farmers in Ghana. That's charity. That's people giving things away. The U.S. government isn't here to give things away. The U.S. government is here to protect U.S. citizens. We need to be strategic. We have something called the Development Finance Corporation, which I work super closely with at the White House. The Development Finance Corporation goes and buys assets strategically around the world to make sure that we have access to things we need. They build infrastructure that foreign partners can see. They see that the U.S. is there. They see that the infrastructure benefits them as well. It creates jobs. That's the kind of diplomacy we should be doing. Just a quick comment on the military. I spent part of my time at the White House. I was between the Pentagon and the White House. The generals and the admirals in the Pentagon, I'm sure Adam's heard this plenty of times, they said, we're not good at state building. We're not good at diplomacy. We're good at two things, killing people and blowing shit up. And they are very good at that, by the way. I would not want to get in their way. But we need to work on our diplomacy. I think Marco Rubio and growing our diplomatic corps and having people who actually understand the countries they're serving in and who are willing to negotiate and play hardball. That's what we need.
Thank you, Mark. Adam, foreign policy around China and what they are doing around the world to strengthen themselves. What would we do as U.S. foreign policy?
I didn't have it on my bingo card that China would be the answer we dig into so deep tonight, but truly China is our greatest national adversary. Other than our own failed leadership in DC with the continued debt, China is the greatest threat outside of our borders. And the Belt Road Initiative is that threat. So diplomatically, we need to press against the Chinese Belt Road Initiative all across the globe. And what I mean by that is get in the way of their preferred nation treaties. And intelligence-wise, there's not going to be a conventional war with China. That's not going to happen. There's this thing called mutually assured destruction. We're not going to take all of our submarines, go into their submarines, their tanks, our tanks. That's not going to happen. But there's a war going on right now. It's in ones and zeros. And we're largely losing that war because we have $4 billion a year in intellectual property theft that goes over to China. They are stealing our businesses. And a lot of that is because Americans are thinking they can take the short way out and partner up with Chinese manufacturing, but then they have loopholes in the back end that steal all of our business. We need to confront that. We need to stop relying on China. COVID should have taught that to us. We should already know we can no longer rely on China. We need to bring back our manufacturing to the United States of America. We need to bring back our semiconductor chips, our fertilizer making, our hypersonic missiles. These critical components can no longer be made. We can no longer rely on China. And militarily, we need to maintain our economic advantage through leading to the proper things. I'm not talking about an expansive military. I'm talking about a smart military that leans into AI, leans into hypersonics, leads into subsea warfare, which is what I spent the last 7 years of my career doing, subsea warfare largely against China, Russia, North Korea, Iran. These are the real threats to the military vectors we need and why it's important to elect somebody in the United States Senate for those trillion-dollar programs that actually know what the heck they should be focused on. And last, economically, it's tangential to that, but our youth. China right now owns all these digital platforms and is poisoning our children with things like Instagram, TikTok. Those are set up in algorithms owned by China, and it's poisoning our youth. We need to take those away from China for sales so we no longer have our children learning how to be terrible humans as adults, but to be better American patriotic citizens. Thank you.
And you said subsea warfare? What is that?
The future of warfare, it's not spending trillions and billions of dollars on capital assets like airplanes and ships. It's in ones and zeros, it's subsea, things under the water, and it's in space. Those are the three vectors of warfare. And if you see right now, why are the Russia-Ukrainian things still going on so long? It's because we realize we can take out a $10 million tank with a $20 drone. That's the future of warfare. Off-the-shelf commercial hardware that's very cheap, subsea things, ones and zeros in space.
If China takes Taiwan, when you guys are in the US Senate, what should we do?
I'll handle that. Well, that's the problem with the Biden administration, is they said what we're going to do. And that's why Trump is great with not telegraphing punches. Our policy with Taiwan is called calculated ambiguity for a reason. We don't telegraph, but all things are on the table. So anybody who says anything other than calculated ambiguity is in a misstep with the current administration and they're just good foreign policy. Because if we want to, as Mark said, hold my beer and find out, the military-industrial complex under President Trump can destroy anything in the entire world. We don't want to advocate for that, and that's why we don't actually want wars. And you don't have wars by having capability and having peace through strength, but calculated ambiguities is the policy for Taiwan.
Anything you guys on that?
Oh yeah, I got a lot.
This microphone, I was going to say, must be made in China. I have a TSSCI clearance, so I know the plan.
I don't, so what is the plan?
Yeah, well, of course I can't say it. But I will say this, it's not going to be easy for China to take Taiwan. And I think they know that. And we know that they know that, and they know that we know that we know that. And Adam's dead right, by the way, right? Like, building the biggest submarine and the biggest air fortress ever, that's no longer the mode. I myself was in Ukraine in August, and I chatted with the drone companies and the generals who came from the front lines. It's smaller, modular things made with commercial hardware and also space warfare. China has satellites. They've actually demonstrated they have attack satellites that can destroy other satellites. So if a war broke out, they might take out all of our communications in the first half hour, and then you wouldn't know because you couldn't communicate. And I'm sorry everyone might have a hard time sleeping here tonight, but I assure you that it's much more nuanced than that, and it wouldn't be easy for China to take Taiwan.
Royce?
The greatest.
Stop turning them off.
They shut off
Oh.
automatically.
All right, we good?
Yep.
The greatest threat that we face from the Chinese Communist Party is right here in this room.
It's not me.
You sure?
No.
Let me explain. Take a look in the mirror. Cultural capitulation. The greatest threat we face is ideological subversion. Yeah, no, the two sort of universal basic standards of having a nation is, one, you have a border that you protect. Amen? Yeah, number one, you have a border, and number two, you don't cut your son's penises off. If you want to have a nation, to even the response, I don't know if we really understand what I'm saying. If you want to have a nation, you do not normalize cutting off your son's penises. Okay. And every time you conform to this idea of electability based on a communist profile, you are capitulating to a Republican form of ideology that says it's even remotely sane to cut your son's penises off. It's not sane. It's not normal. And I'm going to say something here that's even more controversial, if I can even do that.
I don't think that's controversial. We're in agreement, right? No cutting off sons' penises.
But wait a second.
You know,
hey, wait a minute.
I'm against it.
I don't know if it's not controversial, because if it is true that we regard it as intolerable, then I don't think President Trump should even give the government back. I don't think President Trump should even consider giving the nation back to people who don't want to have a nation and who have normalized grown men cutting off their private parts for cosmetic purposes. These people are not sane. But we want to have a debate with them. We want to argue with them. Hey, you keep arguing with sophists and communists, and I guarantee you, you end up with the communist form of government like we have here today.
All right.
I know. We got about an hour left of that. I know.
Mark, Adam, any thoughts on penises?
Well, you know, on the farm, we call that castration.
Yes.
I'm keeping mine.
Right, only one of the three candidates said they're keeping their penis.
No strategic ambiguity on that one, Adam.
There are Mary Ann laws to blame for all of this. Where were you the night the penis? Anyway.
We're all going to the Whipple now. Whipping her.
All right, okay.
Moving on.
Is that too? Is that?
Hold on.
Okay. All right.
No, but you're right. You're right.
Hey.
I am going to, I've said this I think on the air before, I'm going to,
Never said penis on the air.
no, I've never said that, but I have used my mom voice to kind of rein things back in. So we're going to rein things back in. Our next, come on, our next subject, there's so many things, but I did point out one subject that is getting a lot of talk is the border. How would you as a senator handle the crises that we've had at the border and the outcomes of that before President Trump came back in office? So what would you do in terms of border policy? And then I might follow up with one after that. Let's start with, who did we start with before? Royce? Let's start with Adam.
Well, first off, we have to acknowledge how we got in this predicament. Poor leadership, or complete lack of leadership. Under the previous administration, we allowed 20 million illegal aliens into our country. And I'm happy to report to you today, what's our immigration as a net percentage? Zero. Because President Trump locked up the border. So, thank you. But again, why do we not have senators fighting for the Save America Act to make sure that we don't have that problem again? Because the whole point of those Democrats, by design, letting the people in, is to create Democrat voters who are relying on handouts from you for the rest of the time in the country. And what I'm going to further do is next time there's a census, make sure that only American citizens are counted on that census. Because by doing that, that's going to shift about 20, 30 congressional seats for Americans people, because only Americans should be voting in our elections. That's why we need a fighter who shores up the border, because it's tied to election integrity. And as somebody who knows about threats and also have the clearances for all the scary things out there, this is the so what. We know that we have thousands of people from the terrorist watch list inside our borders right now because of the Biden administration. So no, we don't stop upholding the rule of law. We continue to prosecute these violent criminals from our towns, from our cities, not because it's the easy thing to do, but because it's the right thing to do for you, the American citizen, and for national security, so we don't have another 9/11.
Thank you. Royce, I want you to take the next answer on border policy.
Yeah, I mean, nobody ever gives you a number. Respectfully, Adam, and Michelle Tafoya came under fire for this same thing, and she's kind of a pro-Amnesty Dignity Act kind of person. And there's a lot of Rhino Republicans too, who have this pro-Dignity Act sort of amnesty deal going on. Hey, if you want to have a country, you have to have a border. The border's sealed, but it's not restored until we deport every last illegal foreign invader that came under the Joe Biden administration. 15 to 20 million for an appetizer. We have to deport 15 to 20 million foreign invaders from this country. And any capitulation, any compromise of that whatsoever, you just know what you're dealing with. You're dealing with people who aren't going to make the tough decisions necessary to keep this republic. And apropos back to my last comment, when I said President Trump should even consider giving the government back, what are we going to do? Let these people let in another 20 million? Because they will. We know they will. They're not shy about it. They said no such thing as illegal on foreign land. If you give them back the government, I guarantee you they will let in another 20 million foreign invaders.
Thank you. Mark, same question, border policy as a U.S. Senator.
The problem with our immigration system is that we reward people who cheat our system and we punish people who try to follow it. You know who told me that? A Kenyan immigrant in Minneapolis who came here through our system legally. She was pissed because we let in, 15, 20 million, however many illegally. Some of them, by the way, are technically legal. They come to our border. They're trying, to get a better economic life, and they're coached by some NGO to say the magic incantation to claim asylum. They come in as an asylum seeker, even though we know they're not being politically persecuted. The wait list is decades long, so after 6 months they get a work permit, and it's as good as if they had come here on a totally legit way. In the Senate, we need to eliminate the asylum loophole immediately. It's not just illegals, it's people who are cheating our system and competing with Americans for jobs. The second thing is, President Trump has sealed our border. Somehow we need to build that fence higher, or put the funding for the long term, so we are letting 0.0 people through that border illegally. Once we've done that, maybe we can consider passing comprehensive immigration reform for the first time since 1986, which I believe Adam was maybe 2 years old, I was negative 2 years old, and Royce was negative 5. So.
How old were you, Kelly?
Wait, what year?
86.
I'm not saying. I'm not saying either. Yeah. Anyway, next question.
Is everybody get a shout out? So it's not hard, it's not easy to walk from South America to the United States. But people do. Why? Because where they're living sucks. Would it be smart, would you support any type of effort to unsuck those countries so people stayed there?
No.
That's why the policy for remaining in place is so important. So that these cases are adjudicated in their home country. That's the so what. And that was a Trump policy. I mean, it's so interesting that if you look at the Democrats 10 years ago, you think Obama was like a mega conservative right now. Said, we're a nation of immigrants, we're a nation of laws. If you don't follow the laws, you can't come here. When you come here, you have to assimilate. And now the Democrats are open borders, open the laws, everybody can come, and they clearly don't care about assimilation. Just look at Minneapolis. So and again, at the State of the Union address, President Trump said something that should have been very unifying. Everybody in this chamber right now here is elected to serve Americans. You're all in Congress and the Senate. Let's all stand up together and say, unashamedly right now, we support American citizens first. Boom. Half the room stood up and applauded for Americans, and the other half stood silent. That is how sad and diametrically opposed our two parties are right now, and why I think all of us on the stage are fighting for Americans on the Republican ticket.
I have to jump in. Donald Trump has said something important, right? That his platform is Make America Great Again, America first. But he's also said to other foreign leaders, your job should be to make your country great again. Put Kenya first, put Iran first, put Venezuela first. You are there to serve your people, make your country great. I think some of these foreign leaders, once you get elected to some position of power, you go speak at the World Economic Forum, you go speak at Harvard or Oxford, you think you're the citizen of the world, and you lose track of the fact that the common people in your country, the people who shower after work, not before work, those are the ones you should be serving. And so what should we as the U.S. do to help these countries? I mean, I think there's trade deals we could do that would be mutually beneficial. I'm opposed to something like USAID, which honestly ends up going to a lot of nonprofits and doing a lot of stuff that doesn't actually help people on the ground. Every country's leader should serve the people in this country. If we could help those leaders do that, I'd be for it.
Royce, would it be smart for the U.S. to help any of the countries south of the border get their act together so people stop fleeing them?
I was going to say at the end of the last question, 20-year moratorium. 20-year moratorium on all immigration. Get a count of how many people are in the, I know, and this is the problem we face as a country right here in this room. 20-year moratorium, get a count of how many illegal foreign invaders are in the country or you don't have a country. Second thing, what we could do to help some of these countries. It's so interesting, the CIA meddles in everybody else's elections. I'm not sure if you're aware that the CIA meddles in other people's elections. On the record, we agree? Adam? Yep. Amen?
All the guys with clearance said yes to that.
Amen. Maybe they should give me a clearance.
I think there's a book called All the Best Men about the history of the CIA.
They may need to give me a clearance. Listen, why is it that all of these elections that the CIA meddles in end up with communist leaders? Anybody ever wonder? We're down there meddling in South America, we're in the Eastern Bloc, we're all over the world, and we're in Africa, and every time a leader pops up from one of these crooked elections that our intelligence community meddles in, they're always communists. Could it be that the organizing principle and philosophy of your Central Intelligence Agency is in fact proto-communist? Could it be that maybe in order to start helping some of these other countries so they don't displace into our own country, is to just get rid of the CIA. John F. Kennedy, Big Tent John F. Kennedy, Big Tent Democrat John F. Kennedy, his little nephew RFK Jr. helped us win in 2024. He said, scatter it to the winds. And they shot him in the head for it. And a lot of you boomers in here are still frozen in fear from that day when he was shot on national television. Just get rid of the CIA. What do you think, Al?
Go ahead, your name check.
Our wins are unknown, our failures are. So it's easy to cast persuasions at all of the failures. The Central Intelligence Agency and really the politicalization of our nation's intelligence, it has become politicized. It has become radical. And again, that's why when I get to the United States Senate and serving on the Senate Intelligence Committee, I will ensure that it's doing Senate intelligence things to vector in on our foreign adversaries, not on American citizens, and we're depoliticizing intelligence once again.
How do you do that, Adam? You're gonna tell the Central Intelligence Agency what they can and can't do from the Senate?
Yes, exactly. That's exactly what I do.
By what force?
By force of I will defund them when they come to me for money.
Oh, the CIA. You worked for the CIA, didn't you?
No, I did not.
You worked for the State Department?
No, I did not.
You didn't have double clearance with the Navy and the CIA?
It's not a double clearance, just a clearance.
Okay, but you're familiar with the intelligence community, right?
Very familiar.
Military intelligence?
Very familiar.
Isn't the CIA its own country and hedge fund?
No, it's not. It still gets funded by the American taxpayer. You can defund it.
They don't have their own companies?
That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about
No,
defunding.
I'm talking about that.
But it still comes from taxpayer
You will
money.
not be able to defund the CIA because the CIA has its own companies, it has its own hedge fund, it is a country. And it does what it wants without the jurisdiction of the American citizens, without the consent of the American people. Adam, you know it as well as I do. And there is no single United States senator that's going to walk in there with Tim Scott and the rest of the Rhino establishment blocking the SAVE Act and tell them that the CIA's business is no longer wanted. In order to do that, the President of the United States will have to deem the CIA itself a threat to national security and stability, and he will have to take executive power, which some people will call tyranny. In this room, some of you will
I think
call it
that's why
tyranny.
it's important right now we have Trump who appointed Tulsi Gabbard, who's another veteran, who was insured to
And they want her out every other week.
But they're not. They haven't let her out. She's done great things by depoliticizing. Amen, she has. That's my point, is we need more senators who are veterans who make sure that our intelligence agencies are vectored on intelligence and collecting on our foreign adversaries and promoting American freedoms around the world, not collecting on Americans. That's my concern.
I think if I could jump in here, the CIA, and I had the chance to meet the CIA director when I was there. I met Tulsi Gabbard. These people, look, every nation in the history of the world has spied. Every nation collects intelligence on its enemies and its friends. In this room, there is some Democrat taking notes, I'm sure, and reporting on what's said tonight. You know there is. Hello, whoever you are.
Thanks for coming
And so we need some intelligence gathering arm. I just wanted to say that. And whether it's the CIA or how it's done. Now, their other mandate has been to actually interfere in elections in foreign governments. That's the more controversial piece that can be discussed. But we need intelligence. Everyone else does it.
All right, let's clarify for the Democrat tracker, Royce, what you meant when you said that Trump shouldn't give the country back. What does that mean?
Trump 2028. The Star Tribune told you I'm a Trumpian. Guilty as charged. No, I just don't understand, and this is what's crazy to me, Tom. See, we're in an existential war. Jack, I'm sorry, Jack.
Happens all the time. I used to be famous, you know.
I know a guy named Tom, I really like him. It's a compliment. This is what I mean when we talk about our national mortal enemies and communism and Marxism and China and the Muslim Brotherhood and all these other countries and people who are just taking shots at us unanswered. And yeah, we do need a strong military and we do need intelligence.
Sure, but how do you get a third term?
Oh, whoa.
Obama did it.
Wait a second. Wait a second. No, wait a second.
We'll get your closing statement. I'm just curious about this third
This is a
term.
pivotal moment in
How does that
the
work?
evening. Pivotal moment because it really does separate. It really does separate the Minnesota Republican Party and conservative movement all across the country. It's like, how dire are things? And Minnesota nice, I get it. We're very nice people. You come knock on our door, we open and we say, hey, good to see you. We might offer you a treat or something, our greetings. But we're in a range war now. And I'm not talking about in the Middle East. I mean right here in Minnesota.
Third term.
With Tim Walz and the rest of the communists who have already subverted the Constitution. How much more are you going to take? How much more do they have to do? How many more times do they have to steal an election or open the border before you finally get up the courage to look yourself in the mirror in the morning and say, we needed Abraham Lincoln.
Royce, how you get into the third term?
Who suspended habeas corpus during the Civil War and threw Merryman and the rest of his Confederates in prison, and he told Chief Justice Taney, famous Merryman versus Taney, he told Chief Justice Taney, if you let those Confederates out, I'll be arresting you next. Constitutional crisis is here, folks. Sorry to tell you, I know the politics with French fries is fun. We're all social, and we rarely see people who think like us, because we're surrounded by communists, right? So this is fun. But I'm not here to have fun, and I'm not a nice guy. I'm going to the United States Senate to two things. Represent the American people and support the president in actually saving this republic from communists. By force if necessary. Thank you.
So no election then? For Trump's third term.
Did we have an election in 2020?
We did.
Oh, did we?
Yeah.
Oh, there you go. Thank you. That my point exactly.
Okay.
So Trump lost the 2020 election.
Okay.
Yes.
No. No.
Did President Trump lose the 2020 election? No. And there you go.
Should Trump
Welcome to the show, ladies and
refuse
gentlemen.
to leave the White House and stay for 4 more years
Yes, he
after
should get
this
the
term?
Joint Chiefs together.
After this term.
He should get the Joint Chiefs together, the rest of the military, and he should never give it back to the communists. Right.
Should Trump stay in the White House after this term is over and not run for re-election?
No.
Wait,
Okay.
that's 2 questions.
Closing statements. You had yours.
Oh,
Oh, wait. One more question. This is important. We haven't won statewide in 20 years. What would you do differently? How do we change that? How does your campaign win after we've not won statewide in 20 years? Adam.
We need a candidate that can galvanize our base. You build things off the base, the foundation, and that's you. That's why I'm abiding by the endorsement, not going around it. There's no shortcuts to becoming a Marine. There's no shortcuts to becoming a Navy SEAL. You have to do the work. You have to build off the base, otherwise you're building on a house of sand. And we're winning right now. The Team Schwarz for Senate, we've got hundreds of volunteers from all across the state. We've got thousands of people that have voted for us in the straw polls, like previously tonight, like we'll get tonight. And that's the so what, is we build a team that's uncompromising on values, but does the hard work. And that's all it takes. That's why we have President Trump right now. Because I have an agenda, whether we're talking about supporting election integrity or supporting fraud, building businesses, you're getting government overreach out of the way. What's the Democrat agenda right now? No. Anti-Trump and pro-socialism. So how do we win? At the end of the day, I'm going to be on a voting block with Peggy Flanagan as a constitutional conservative running against an open socialist. And some of those people, maybe they don't like Trump, maybe they haven't voted for Republican their whole life, but they're going to see me, somebody who's fought for you, and America my whole life, fueled off of love for country, and a Christian, and they get that. They get behind a person of faith, a person of values, a fighter for them, and they're going to want to leave their family with me versus their family with Peggy Flanagan because she probably tried to transition their kids. Well, they're not there. That's how we win, is having a common sense fighter that builds a team, doesn't compromise on values, at the end of the day, can get off-ramp from the Socialist Democrats. And this is the cycle we do that.
All right. Mark, how do you win statewide? Because nobody else has figured it out in 20 years.
That's right, and I'm the guy who's going to do it. We're going to do it by doing 2 things. Number 1, we have to bring out the rural roar. We have to bring out record voter turnout in non-presidential year in rural Minnesota, because that is where the true values of Minnesota originate, and that's where we, frankly, have a lot more people voting red. But that's not going to be enough. We have to peel off enough people in the Twin Cities, since there's so dang many people here, to get us over that 50%. How are we going to do that? I think Schwarzy's right. The Democrats are giving us a big, peachy gift in Peggy Frodigan Flanagan.
I like that. That's good. That's good.
TM. She does not represent Minnesota. Minnesotans are reasonable people, for the most part. We don't like anything too extreme. We're out there. Sorry, Royce. In general, Minnesotans, no offense.
President Trump too.
He was close. 4%. Minnesotans want someone who's going to allow them to raise a family and have a job and not have to think about the government day and night. And that is why my agenda is about 3 things. We're going to cut the fraud with AI. We're going to cut the red tape that stops people from creating companies, building jobs. And we're going to make the government get out of the house building daycare centers so you can afford to raise a family. I think that agenda is going to sell. We have over 200 volunteers. We're climbing in the polls. And I think we're going to take this endorsement in Duluth. And I think we're going to win in the primary and win in the general.
All right, thank you, Mark. Royce, in the last 20 years, we've not won statewide. You were one of those candidates. What are you going to do differently this time?
40%, best we've ever done against Klobuchar. Not much help from the DC elite. Not much help from the Minnesota Republican Party either. Yeah, and those of you who were at the endorsement process in 2024 remember well all of the games that were played. Amen, we love it. We love a good challenge. I like being against the communists and the rhinos. I'm kind of crazy like that. We all know what we have to do to win. We have to open up this party for true Christian conservative values. We haven't done that. We capitulate to the liberals. Right, we have our DC elite, who Adam went to go meet with at the NRSC. Then they recruit Michelle Tafoya, who's pro-choice, pro-amnesty, and anti-2A, and they tell you she's the winning ticket. And some of you in here may even say, you know what? She's such a beautiful sideline reporter. She probably will take her product pumps to Washington, D.C. and fight the deep state. Yeah, okay. We're not bringing in any Christians doing that. We're not bringing in the low propensity, the million or so low propensity Christian voters in rural America with the Michelle Tafoyas. We're not bringing in anybody in the inner cities, with any typical Republican talking points. We have to change our message. We have to change our branding. We have to exhibit value. We have to go to the place, as Carl Jung used to say, as once said, the thing you need the most is usually hidden in the place you least want to go. And that would be inside the Beltway. And why is it, over the last 35 years I've been living in this state, I've never seen a Republican Party representative once in Minneapolis or St. Paul. All the money Tom Emmer raises, $10 million a quarter Tom Emmer raises, not a single penny spent in the Twin Cities. We win by going to the place where we say we need the votes, and everybody knows it. The question is, are you willing to go?
All right, Royce, you can respond to your name check in.
Yeah, I did fly to Washington, D.C. because I can actually fly. Because you have to build a coalition. You have to be able to build a coalition. And so, yes, I'm trying to get D.C. support because I'm trying to get national money.
Let him finish.
You flew to meet with traitors.
Royce matters.
I flew to D.C. because you have to build a coalition. And we do need national money to take our state back.
You just told us the senators are traitors. You just told us they're holding up the state back. You went to meet with them.
Yes, I'm trying to get national
I
dollars.
know. I'm not collaborating with traitors. So there may be the difference between us. Not collaborating.
Have you been to the White House? Have you met with Trump's organization?
Yes, I have been to the White House. I'm building a coalition with Trump's team. I'll be flying there in another week to brief on how strong our team is with all the polling from across the state and all the grassroots funding we've done. Because despite not getting the DC endorsement as the outside candidate, we have raised over $1 million through people like you. And those straw polls do matter because when I go brief the president in a week or two, I will tell them that our team has continued to grow and we are a good investment this cycle to take our state back. Thank you.
Thank you. In the interest of time, we are skipping the closing statements. I think everybody got the gist of everybody here. You guys have websites, literature on the tables. Mary, you can have your meeting back.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
And your
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank
Trump
you.
2028. Trump 2028.
You guys did it. It was great.
Thank you very much. I want to say thank you to Jack and Kelly. Just so you all know, the only contact that I had with the campaigns were through their campaign managers. And I asked them if they would submit questions directly to Jack. I did not want to know what the questions were. And I think it all worked out quite well. So thank you very much. We're going to take a little bit of time now. I'm going to introduce some of the other candidates that are here while the straw poll results are being tallied. If you are, your name is on the ballot, you can have a representative watching the voting, the tallying out in the hallway. So please feel free to go do that if you'd like. But do you want to stay sitting there, or do you just want to hang out while we have other candidates? Or oh, okay. But thank you, Jack and Kelly. Yes. And I will say that the reason that we have three up here today is because they have been polling the strongest in the 12. It's quite important to know this.
PAC's been started up a Minnesota PAC, so like all my double max out donors.
Mary's trying to finish.
I'm going to introduce some more candidates. But as you know, over this BPOU convention time frame that's been going on and the CD, straw polls were done in 2 CDs by the delegates and 12 BPOU conventions. So there was a total of almost 1,800 delegates out of the 22 to 2,400 that will be at state convention who actually did vote in these straw polls. There's a lot of validity to these. So that's how we chose the top percentage. I do have the percentages if any of you do want to know how any of these Senate candidates came out in for the BPOUs and also the CD, but I won't announce it over here for now for time's sake. I want to bring up Wing Bob Leslie. Come on up here, Bob. He's going to speak just for a minute on behalf of Phil Parish for governor.
Hard.
All right, I just want to say from Phil Parish sent to me. Good evening, everybody. I'm here tonight on behalf of Phil Parish, and I want to thank you for giving me a few moments to speak with you about a man who truly loves Minnesota and is fighting every single day for the people of this state. Phil Parish is not a career politician. He's a Minnesotan, native, retired United States Navy Lieutenant Commander, and someone who spent 21 years serving the country in intelligence, foreign policy, and counterterrorism. His entire career was built around identifying threats, uncovering the truth, protecting the American people, and what Phil Parish recognized years ago is that Minnesota was facing a growing threat from within the corruption, fraud, waste, and political insiders who have forgotten who government is supposed to serve. Long before it became national headlines, Philip was one of the first whistleblowers sounding the alarms of a massive daycare fraud happening right here in Minnesota, while others ignored it, downplaying it, or protected systems. Philip filed the money and demanded accountability. Today, Minnesota are finally seeing just how serious these issues are. But Philip C. Parish understands most important fraud impacts everyone. The impact education money meant for children disappears, it impacts public safety. When resources are wasted, it impacts the economy. When hardworking taxpayers are forced to carry out the burden of corruption and reckless spending. That's why Philip C. Parish is running for governor. He believes Minnesota deserves leadership with integrity, transparency, and courage. He is not taking lobbyist money, PAC money, because he believes elected officials should answer to the people, not the special interests. Philip's vision for Minnesota is simple: restore accountability, restore public safety, restore excellence in education, protect parental rights, support law enforcement, defend our constitutional freedom, and bring honesty back into government. But then, anything Philip believes this campaign is about people in Minnesota standing up and saying enough is enough. This movement is growing because people are tired of polished politicians giving speeches while nothing changes. They want someone who will ask hard questions, expose corruption, and fight for everyday Minnesotans. Philip has traveled across the state meeting with families, farmers, veterans, and business owners and communities who feel foreign, and everything that he goes, people are relying on around the message because they know Minnesota can do better. This election is not about left versus right, it's about right versus wrong.
Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks so much. John Krhin, do you want to come up here and say a couple minutes? John is running for governor as well. Let's move the anti-Fauci people up here towards the front to be ready to go. The PAC information.
Thank you, Mary. Yep. Appreciate it. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. My name is John Krhin. That's how it's pronounced. Born and raised in Chisholm. Few interesting background items. My father was born in 1892. He came to this country in 1913. He gave birth, or my mother gave birth to me when she was 50 and he was 60. If that intrigues you, go to my website and read the rest of the story. Today I was at the state capitol with several hundred other Minnesotans crying out to God for mercy upon our state. This is what sets me apart from all the other gubernatorial candidates. I've been an ordained minister for 45 years. I've served 10 churches. I started 2. My wife and I have raised 8 children, 30 grandchildren. And today I read to you Psalm number 2, the beginning. Why do the heathen rage, and the people imagine a vain thing? The kings of the earth set themselves, and the rulers take counsel together against the Lord and against his anointing, saying, let us break their bands asunder and cast away their cords from us. Now listen to this. He that sits in heaven shall laugh. God has been laughing at Minnesota for at least 20 years, and that's why we don't have a statewide candidate, because we're now the #1 aborting state in the union. We're killing our babies, and God is laughing at us. We vote in transsexuals and homosexuals. We let in Somalis. We let in people who didn't swear like my father did in 1913 to swear off allegiances to all foreign potentates and kings and princes. We've let people, communists, Somalis, Muslims take our country from us, and I'm here because as leading God's people for 53 years as a minister, 45 of them an ordained minister, we've seen our 8 children serve Christ, married, owning their own homes before they're 25 years of age, and they've been paying taxes, 6 of them paying taxes in Minnesota. Now my grandchildren are doing the same. I will lead the moral compass of this country back to God. That's where we get our law from, because Christ is king, and I will serve him, and I will take that message all the way to the governor's office, and I'll be the most pro-life governor that Minnesota has ever had, because under my leadership, I'm going to go on that bully pulpit every day with my head on fire and say, when are you legislators going to bring a constitutional amendment to Minnesota to outlaw abortion, because that baby is a human being from its conception. We can talk about it, but when are we going to do something about it? God bless you. I'm John Krhin. I'm running for governor.
Thank you,
Mary. Appreciate it.
Krhin, I'll have to remember that. All right. I'm going to bring up Paul Wikstrom, who is the newly endorsed candidate for CD4.
2 hours, Mary? So
2 hours. 2 hours.
2 minutes, right? I will be brief. I'm Paul Wikstrom. I'm running for Congress in Minnesota's 4th Congressional District, recently endorsed. And I'm a fraud warrior. Some of you probably already know the story, and I'm not going to go and reiterate on it too much, but I battled election fraud in Minnesota and moved the needle forward. And as a result, we got a Republican speaker in the House, Lisa Damon, and we got a fraud committee in the House, because that interim majority that was the result of me challenging a fraudulent candidate. So what is really distressing me is that Minnesota has become a fraud sanctuary. And we talk a lot about fraud, but what am I going to do about it? Well, first of all, I'm a warrior in the fight against fraud. I filed that notice of contest against Curtis Johnson 3 days after I got out of the hospital for open heart surgery. I remember looking at that paper going, is this the right time and place for me to file this notice of contest? And it was. And so that's how passionate I am about fighting fraud. And I want to fight the financial fraud that's destroying our economy, both on a local and national level. We really got to rein that in. So I'm an engineer and I'm a manager. I've been in the medical device and aerospace industry for my career. And what I want to do is bring a 7-point plan for fraud to Washington. The first one being the extending the statute of limitations on the people who commit fraud. Number 2, making sure we pay out. Make sure we verify before we pay out to people that should receive payment, or making sure that those who don't have a need should not be receiving payment. But number 7 on my 7-point plan is to hold states accountable. Like Minnesota's been giving away between $9 and $9 billion. I think, Adam, that's what you referenced earlier. We've seen at least $9 billion of fraud in the state. My second issue is affordability, and my number 3 issue is strengthening our economy. Our kids, my 3 adult kids, each face $357,000 of taxpayer debt, if you will. If you take the national debt and divide it by the number of taxpayers, that's $357,000 per taxpayer. I don't want to give that to my kids. So Betty McCollum is my target. I believe she's vulnerable. It's a triple bank shot for me to win in Minneapolis, in the St. Paul area. She's a 25-year incumbent. She's put a rubber stamp on all the fraud. She's not stood up to it. It will be a very tough fight. And along with me fighting Betty McCollum, what I want to do is lift the state House and the state Senate seats, those races for Republicans in the 4th district. So I have a multi-pronged plan to help Minnesota and help the nation. And send me to Washington. I'll be the warrior in the fight against fraud. I am the right person at the right time to fight this fight. I believe I'm the best candidate
to be in this race against Betty McCollum. I'm Paul Wikstrom. I'm running for the Congress in the 4th Congressional District in Minnesota. I'd like your support, wikstromforcongress.com. How did I do, Mary?
Very good. Now we have Jude for Secretary of State.
Thanks, Mary. I'd like to introduce the spark plug of our campaign, Jackie over here.
Yes, it is.
Okay. Tad Jude, running for Secretary of State. I'm running so you can get your money back, get our flag back, and importantly, get our elections back. In Minnesota, in order to vote, you need to be 18 years old, you need to be a Minnesota resident, you need to be a legal U.S. citizen. Importantly, you need to be alive. Now, they had a vote yesterday in the Minnesota House where all the Democrats voted against requiring the dead people come out the voting rolls. They had a couple other votes. One was to see if you'd be a citizen every year. Check the voting rolls to see if you'd be a citizen. Another one was to use the SAVE Act voter registry. It's free. It doesn't cost us anything. Steve Simon won't take advantage of that. Now, I've got a little experience I can bring there and I think would be helpful. I've been a district court judge up around here. I haven't seen too many of you before. But in any case, I can bring some of that legal training to the Secretary of State's office, and he's in a bunch of legal trouble. He's got a civil suit. The Department of Justice is trying to get access to our voting rolls. He's been fighting it. He's got a subpoena, criminal subpoenas, to see if there are illegal citizens voting. I don't know what he's going to do with that. But I have other experience. Importantly, I'm a father, grandfather, I'm a veteran. I'm actually commander of Post 303 in Fridley. It's an American Legion post. And I can bring some of that experience. I've had experience winning elections. One of the things I did when I was in the legislature was we brought unborn children under the definition of being a person in our criminal law. So they have some protection in Minnesota criminal law today. I was chief author of that bill. And prosecutors use that all the time. How would I use that experience in the future? We've got a big problem on the ballot right now. And that is when you go to vote, you're asked to cast a vote that's essentially blind. That's the back of the ballot when you vote for judges. And you don't get enough information. And we pay a high price for that. We've got 7 members of the Minnesota Supreme Court, all appointed by Governor Walz and Governor Dayton. That isn't fair. It isn't balanced. It doesn't reflect the state of Minnesota. We need to make the back of the ballot work. And I believe my experience will be of some help in achieving that end. Now, I've got to wrap it up quick. I've got a number of reasons that we can improve and trust the vote. We can have photo ID. We can have a driver's license that indicates whether or not you're a citizen. We can get rid of vouching. But where I find Steve Simon insulting, he has lost touch with the average Minnesotan. He was the only elected official on the committee that got rid of our Minnesota state flag. I'm going to have a vote on the Minnesota state flag. We're going to bring it back. We're going to bring it back, and the cities up here are taking the lead. Thank you very much. Ted Jude for Secretary of State.
I'll just mention that on your way out, make sure you take a look on the left-hand table. And in an acrylic holder, there is a sheet for an organization called J9.org. There's actually 10 judicial districts, in Minnesota. And this is an undertaking by 2 people out of the Cass County area. Fred Hage is the Cass County chair, but he is actually putting all kinds of information on there about who these judges are. So we've wanted something like this for a long time, so make sure that you take a look at that, okay? All right, I'm going to bring up something about Fauci here. I don't know. Can you tell me what that is?
It's Lisa.
Hi, my name is Lisa Dust. Today I'm presenting because apparently our favorite person, Anthony Fauci, is coming to town a week from Saturday to speak at McAllister College graduation. He and his wife are coming to present there and also to get some type of award. As we all know, Fauci is not our friend. So I am in the midst of putting together an anti-Fauci peaceful protest. It'll be, I put handouts on the tables. It'll be, the event will be Saturday, May 16th. The graduation starts at 10:30 in the morning, but when I called to get information the other day, they sounded like people would start gathering to get into the building around 9 in the morning. So I'm thinking coming around 8:45. The graduation lasts 2.5 to 3 hours, they said, so we can kind of see how, just use our judgment how long we'll be there. But I really want to get a lot of people there with anti-Fauci signs in a peaceful protest. So, any questions, give me a jingle, and I hope to see you there.
Great, thank you. And information is on the table. Also, the annual hog roast with MC Walter Hudson. Vicki Lawrence, come on out and tell us about that. This is the Conservative American PAC. We like the shoes.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks, Mary. Yeah, so the Conservative American PAC is having our annual hog roast again this year on June 20th. It's going to be at the American Legion, and we're going to have the pulled pork. What's that? In Chanhassen. We are going to have, and by the way, there's a flyer on each of the tables. We are having pulled pork on all the sides, and Representative Walter Hudson is going to be our MC. And American Majority is coming to do a presentation on how we can win elections in November this year. And then Attorney Gregory Joseph, who has been representing Derek Chauvin in the new, with new evidence. And I'm not going to tell you everything he's going to tell you, but he's going to tell us some things that were not open to the public and things we never knew about. So it's going to be very interesting to see what he has to say. And then, is Mark York still here by any chance?
He's in the back.
You need to give me Nick Shirley's number so I can have him come and speak. So,
Me too.
Now everybody knows, right? So anyway, we hope that you can come and make it. It is June 20th from 5 to 8. And we hope to see you there. And all the costs for the pre-registration and the same day of is all on this flyer. So, thank you.
Thank you so much for that. These are very fun events, and we go quite often. Char Gafkjen with the American Majority. You're State Executive Director. Yeah.
Well, hello. Thank you. So I'm the new State Executive Director for the Minnesota chapter of the American Majority. Super excited to be a part of this. Started on January 1st of this year. My job is to go around the state training grassroots activists and candidates. So I have an upcoming candidate and campaign training on May 12th in Burnsville. So if you want more information, I have it at the table. Also, if any of you are interested in a job, we are looking for door knockers, phone callers, and I'm looking for 2 field staff for the CD2 district. I know that's a little bit further than over here. It's about an hour away, it looks like on the map. So, but if you know somebody, or if you know somebody who wants to move there, just let me know. We're hiring 10 door knockers I have 8 days to get 10 door knockers, 5 phone callers, and still looking for those 2 field staff, which are full-time paid jobs with the American Majority. So. Anyways, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you. There's a couple of House candidates here too, Alan Shen and Patty Bradway. Do you guys want to say something real quick? You don't? You're going to lose out. Come on up. Come on. This is Patty.
Yeah, I'm not Alan.
Alan's not as quick.
Not today.
Not today. Thank you, Mary. I come to these events and I never expect to speak, so I'm always flustered a little bit. But my name is Patty Bradway. I am running in Senate District 36B. That's Wiper Lake, Vadnais Heights area. I ran in 2024 against pretty radical Krhin. You maybe know her. She's a very confused woman, and I came within about. Yeah, she's a woman, but she just doesn't know that. I came within about 800 votes of her, so I'm running again. Very excited about that. I am a wife, mother, Catholic. I'm a nurse. We had an event last night at the Asian Americans. They were all going up and talking about their service and the uniforms they wear. I said, hey, I wear a uniform too. I wear scrubs. I save lives for a living. I was at the University Hospital for 31 years in a cardiac unit, and I got out of that at the end of 2018. So I just missed all the COVID crap. Thank you. But I went from there to a pregnancy resource center. So now I'm the nurse manager at a pregnancy resource center in Little Canada. I do ultrasound. I grew up on a farm. I was talking to Mr. York earlier. I grew up on a farm. We're hard workers. And all the issues are the same, right? Fraud, education. Wiper Lake is pretty bad with our education up there. And safety. And I'm all about the kids, too, because we're hurting our kids physically, mentally, emotionally, educationally. So I'm there to fight, because I hate losing. I'm a three-sport athlete in high school, and the fact that they have triathlete, whatever. When they have boys and girls sports is just the end of it. They hate women over there on that side, even though they're supposed to be feminists. Men in the women's prisons, men in women's locker rooms, men in women's sports. It's like, it's enough with it. Love you, men, but it's enough. It's enough of that. So. What is my website? Bradway, Bradwy, forhouse.com. Thank you. Anybody in Wiper Lake area from here? Yay! Come and talk to me. Thanks.
All right. Now we have the real Alan show. 40B.
Thank you, Mary. Hi, my name is Alan Shen, running for House 40B, so that's Roseville, Shoreview area. So a few things about the district I'm running in is that special election district from last year where Paul ran. So now I'm picking up the baton and keep it going. So a few things that, okay, I'll go to the other thing first, and I'll come back to it. So please, what's that? Okay, please everyone pay attention to Alpha News, the Minnesota Mile, because I'm in that movie. Because there you go. One of the things I can say that I'm the only candidate who's been investigating this CCP spy network in Minnesota. So we have a lot of documentations in that movie, so everyone go check it out. Because everything that we have found so far leads to the conclusion is that Tim Walz is a Chinese agent. So, so you think the fraud is a big thing, wait till the espionage thing comes out. We're gonna hit him hard. So I'll keep it short, but visit my website and everyone should know about this. So, yeah.
Thank you very much. Please look at the crowd potentially. We got about a minute here. Why don't you bring that up to me?
Thank you.
Bring it up to me.
I'm Cincy Phew, here representing the Child Protection League and also the Republican seniors. So I think I'll just start with that. I have a flyer. There's a lot of people over 50 in this room. So I invite you to come on over and pick it up. There's a great meeting once a month, the first Tuesday of each month, and you can watch it online from anywhere in the state. So help yourself to that. And I also wanted to thank you. There are several people, quite a few people actually in this room, who attended our conference, the Child Protection League conference, last Saturday. And it was amazing. You'll be able to see most, if not all, of the content on our website. We have some great flyers. I've put some on each of your tables. It's an About Us flyer, Child Protection League. And I also put our first, actually hot off the press, Substack. It's entitled Is the Education Choice
for Children Act, the ECCA, that you've probably heard a lot about, a good or a bad plan. So anyway, help yourself on the table, and thank you so much, Mary.
Thank you, Cindy. Fellow Tea Party person here. That's how we first met Cindy, and I didn't even know what a BPOU was. She went on to become a state house rep. All right, is there anybody else running for office that wants to say a couple things here? No? The next John Adams Society debate is May 20th. It's always held at Burger Mo's in St. Paul. Resolved, fraud is the cost of doing government. Join them at 6:30 at Burger Mo's in St. Paul at May 20th. They used to sit around and drink brandy and smoke cigars. They don't do any of that anymore. They even let women come. But these are good debates. Our next meeting is June 4th. We will have our newly endorsed candidates invited and coming. We will have Bonnie Gasper, who is the chair of the Child Protection League. She's going to be talking about how brains are being formed these days. It's extremely interesting, and it's very true. Our children do not think and process information the way we were taught. So come for that. We will also have Representative Walter Hudson. He's going to give us an after-session legislative update. He will talk about fraud actions going forward. All right, I have the results. I'm going to start with State Auditor. And I want to put these in order as I speak them so I don't mess it up. Take them one by one. State Auditor, Elliot Ingen got 8, Scott Jensen got 12, Nate George got 81. Secretary of State, Wendy Phillips got 6, David Meissner got 41, Ted Jude got 67. Attorney General, Ron Schutz was the only candidate on the ballot. He got 100 votes. There were no write-ins.
Let's go, Rob.
I want to figure governor real quick. Okay. There were 3 undecideds. Patrick Knight got 4. Phil Parish got 6. Mike Lindell got 24. I'm already out of sync here. Anyway, John Krhin, you got 2. Mike Lindell got 24. Lisa Damon got 28. Kendall Qualls got 49. I'm going to take just an extra second here on this U.S. Senate.
Yeah, I do too. I'm glad she's writing it down.
Okay, tied in 5th place, undecided, and Alicia Grunhagen. Number 4, Michelle Tafoya with 11. Mark York got 13. Royce White got 34. Adam Schwarz got 59. This was a good meeting. I want to thank you all for being here and thank you for the candidates. You've done a marvelous job. We're proud of all of you. We will see you at state convention, and I want all of the endorsed candidates here on June 4th. Thank you and have a good evening.
Thank you, Mary.